Okay, so this is my first graphic novel, or I guess it's a trade paperback, called Escape from Dullsville. And it's kind of a road trip book. It's about this character, the fetus, who jumps out of his or her pregnant mom's belly early because he's too cramped, and goes on a road trip through basically America and kind of pop culture America. And so this book was originally printed by SLG Publishing, and this collects the first 8 issues of the book. I have since stopped working on the book, and I don't know if I'll ever return to it again, but this is the cast of the characters. This is basically the tone of the book. This is a baby, a fetus in the womb drinking a martini. It's kind of humorous, very inspired by kind of cult films and weird films. There's basically this baby jumps out of the womb early with a splort and drives their mother crazy, and ends up going on a road trip from place to place, and gets mixed up with like truckers and weird old vagrants and beatniks and aliens and government conspiracies and anarchists and Discordians. And this is my first real published comic book, and well, I worked on it from I think 1997 to 2001, and then there was a long break, and then for this book I finished up issue 8, which was never published, and that was in right before this book was printed, which I'm not sure, or when this collection was printed. I don't quite remember when that was, but it was many years later. And yeah, so there's a few different stylistic changes, and the story is very kind of cuts back and forth in time a lot, and a lot of meandering and a lot of stories within stories kind of thing. And then I made these, because the story jumps around a lot, I made these kind of guides to like kind of where everyone is and where they're going, and the question marks represent kind of things we don't know yet, connections we haven't seen yet. Yeah, so this was my first attempt at a very long form story that got published, and I think the art slowly gets more interesting as it goes on and gets more complicated, and it kind of like how that's also part of the story, is kind of like how the art progresses, like that's something with early comic artists in their early works. You can really see how they grow during the process of making a comic. And now this is issue 7, where you really start to see, I think the artwork really starts to become this interesting thing. Something different. And this character is the babysitter, and I did a spin-off graphic novel based on her exploits before she comes into the story, and there'll be another video on that book too. So basically everything, all the comics I've created kind of take place in the same universe kind of thing, just because it's more, you know, it's more fun. But yeah, well, this is episode 7. But as you can see, the art gets kind of denser and more psychedelic and more experimental as the book progresses. I really wanted this to feel like a, you know, like a journey of some sort. My brother Phil, this one character, little Billy, puts on this thing called the infinity scope, which lets him see into different dimensions. And so I got my brother Phil to draw one of the dimensions. So this is art by my brother Phil Ristaino, who's a good artist in his own right. And here's more Setsuko. And she, if you look at the babysitter preview, you'll see that she has these kind of themed borders to the whole book, and so that follows through into this book. Yeah, and there's you know, mad scientists, you know, aliens, or are they aliens? So this final section of the book was drawn, I think I redrew this like 3 or 4 times, and the final version I drew many years later, so I think the quality of the artwork kind of bumps up a bit for this final section. And then the book kind of ends on a cliffhanger. I'm gonna kind of flip through it pretty quickly, and then there's bonus stuff. So there's a bunch of Little Billy and Dr. Otto comics. Little Billy is a boy who has multiple personalities, and Dr. Otto is a mad scientist who's a puppet who does experiments on Little Billy. So there's a bunch of pretty dark humor comics. There's an Infinity Scope comic, which kind of focuses on what that is all about. We see into different dimensions. And then there's a thing kind of exploring the characters a little more and giving you a little more info on each of them. And then like a section explaining kind of how this comic came to be. And then there's a whole section about a lot of this comic originally was a daily strip that didn't really get published. It was published in, I went to Rhode Island School of Design. It was published in the school newspaper for like I think 2 months, and then they didn't want to carry it anymore. And anyway, this book was kind of like me taking a bunch of, I started this book right after I got out of college, and so I took a bunch of different comics I'd done and put them together and created this world, and then it was kind of like a big experiment. So one section is based on a 24-hour comic I did my senior year in college, and I added in that full comic here. That's what this is at the end. And yeah, here's the back of the book. And as with most of my books, the front and back cover are connected into one big image, usually depicting a lot of the characters from the book. So that's Escape from Dullsville. Thanks for coming along on the tour, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Bye.